Welcome to Basketball Network. My name is Harry, and today we'll be talking to one of the most reliable Raptors of all time and a crucial member of the Spanish golden generation that ruled the basketball world for the last 2 decades. José Calderón, aka Numero Ocho, welcome.
Hi, how are you? Thank you. My pleasure.
José, you retired from basketball last year after playing at the highest level for 20 years. How are you transitioning from the game, and was it hard to say goodbye after so many years?
Yes and no. I was planning this. I think I always say the same thing. It's like it cannot take you by surprise getting September and not having a team. I think you got to be prepared. I think that's one of the advice I always gave to the young guys and everybody who is going to go through the retirement part. I was planning on that. I moved to New York. I wanted to do something basketball related, and that's why I moved there. I thought about the NBA headquarters, the NBPA headquarters, the Knicks, the Nets, everything going through New York at least a couple of times a year. So that was the place for me to get to the next chapter. And even if I wanted to play one more year, and I was working out for that. Michelle Roberts from the NBPA gave me a call and offered me this job, and that was the balance. That all I needed to make to get the step and say, okay, maybe it's time, and let's just do it.
So you're currently in Orlando, about to watch the conference final, but you're based in New York, where you joined the NBPA, like you said, as the assistant to the executive director. Are you already used to the 9-to-5 office job? Because you've been a basketball player all of your life and you've never been in an office. So how does that work?
Look, it's been like a 2 steps process, because I start like in October when I decide to stop playing, and after, what happened is like getting used to the office, helping with a lot of stuff, like getting to know everybody, how the national the player association work, meeting with departments and stuff like that. And when everything, it's been great. It was great. We have projects, we have a lot of stuff, and the pandemic arrived. From that on, it's kind of like a different job. So it was like 2 different jobs in the same year, or just with a few months apart. So, but it's been an amazing process. I was able to get all this bubble and stuff ready, with working with the NBA, working with the players, like all together. And so it's been amazing. With everything that's going on, it's been a process like I didn't expect. Learning a lot, and a great and amazing experience.
And I think we have to applaud the NBA as a sport league for what it has done in preparation for the bubble and the pandemic, especially if you compare what happened in different sport leagues where there was no bubble, and players getting the virus again, and the whole league would be in halt. So I think the NBA did a really, really good job in terms of the pandemic. But when talking about the Orlando bubble, how happy are you the way it was organized? And I guess the games played up to so far.
Well, it's been great so far, and that's the way we wanted to keep it. I think there is no time to relax now. We still got like a month kind of bubble. So hopefully everything is still going well. It was a lot of hours, a lot of, job, and people working around the clock, from the health part with the doctors, and just putting in place this amazing protocol for everybody to be as safer as possible, and safe here, because that was our first concern. And after, from, the competition part, and after the bubble, instead of like hotels and stuff to do for players, because we knew it's going to be hard for some of these teams, this team being already here for almost 2.5 months, like 2 months. And that's a lot of time being away from the family for the first part. Now families arriving. So all that, it was a lot of work like we put in, and a lot of guys, so everything is going well. Like I said, like we just wanted to make sure there is no relaxation now. We keep in place the protocols. We keep finishing the right way, and competition and the games have been amazing too. So everything is working out really well so far.
And with I guess no home court advantage, everybody's playing at home. We've seen more points per game, so that's really been awesome. Great job. Well, I guess considering these unique times and the fact that teams aren't able to fill up their arenas like they used to, um, will there be a CBA renegotiation? Are there talks about it? Do you have any type of info about that for the upcoming season?
Well, I think it's kind of like a little early to say. I think when this actually finish the bubble, I think that will be okay. What's the next steps? And the next steps will be how it's going to be the next season. You already see out there people talking about when the season will start. It's going to start in December. It's going to start when, like, I think it's important. I think we're trying to figure out that. But at the end of the day, we have to be ready for every possible scenarios. We don't know how the pandemic is reacting. We don't know if it's going to be a vaccine. We don't know if fans are going to be allowed in the stadium or only in some states. So there is a lot of things kind of like still loose to be able to really have a clear plan or a clear path of how things are going to be. So like I said, I think after this next month when everything is done and said, we have a champion, we'll go to the next step, and that will be talking about that like what is the next season, how it's going to look like, what is the possibilities that we have,
and when will it start?
Yes, like that's what I mean. It's a lot of we have to put together. Are we starting without fans? Are fans? There is a lot of little things that are important for that restart, and we all have to be sync, the NBA and the players, and hopefully getting into an agreement and get ready for that.
Well, as a basketball fan, I sure hope we will find a vaccine and that it will go to wide use so we can continue enjoying basketball the way we used to for all these years. Jose, you're involved in different industries and ventures besides the NBPA. This February, you joined a technology company called Singular as a global advisor. We are seeing a lot of current and ex-players jumping into this digital space and startup space. Why did you choose Singular, and what was your decision-making process? How did that work?
I think it kind of worked both ways. I think sometimes we can choose, the other time they choose you. And in this case, Singular was one of the biggest technology companies from Spain. They have a lot of offices here in New York and in US, New York and Boston, in Birmingham. So it was kind of like a perfect fit for me. I knew people that work in that company. I think technology was something important, and it's one of the the sectors like it's growing exponentially every day, and more with what happened with the pandemics and doing that. Even if it's easy sometimes to make this kind of decision, I wasn't sure how I could help a technology company, when they approached me the first time. So we have a few meetings, and sometimes we have some values, some things that we learned while playing basketball that it could help any company. And that's how it was the first approach on like team building, how to manage teams, how to work with people, how to manage this different level of people working inside of the company. So we start working together. We start seeing some stuff, let's say some space where I could feel and I could help them going through what they were going through. And it was great. There is a lot of Spanish people coming from Spain to work here for Singular in US. So that was another transition I was able to help with. And it's been amazing. We have some things together now in new projects that we started. And, I'm really excited about that as well.
That's awesome. Just having a technology company, I guess as a partner is awesome. If you have a cool idea you want to develop, like a world-changing app, that would be that.
And that's one of the things I'm learning, because sometimes we have a lot of ideas in our minds, but if you don't really know what's going on in technology, sometimes you think, I don't know if this is possible. And actually, almost everything is possible these days.
You have to have good engineers,
yeah, but sometimes, you feel like you think something is easy, and that's actually the more difficult part. And sometimes you're trying to figure something out that look like so complicated, and for them it's like, oh no, that's already done. Like we only have to change this or that. So it's been an amazing learning process as well, and just trying to get some of the ideas together and see where we can help in the sport business. So it's been great.
Awesome. I also when I did my research, I found that you co-own an organic pig farm. So I was just wondering how big of an operation is it, and how much does the ham cost?
No, this was something I told all the time. Like it's almost like I only have the part where I was selling the ham. As you know, in Spain we have the
Okay.
best ham because those pigs are wild. They only eat acorn, and it's the pata negra. It's called pata negra.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
They are pretty expensive because of that. So what happened was where I'm from, that's where the best pigs are because that's where we have the trees that where they can live by themselves, and they're like, it's like a healthy kind of like, pork meat, if you can say that. So I started talking to them. When I was in Toronto, we wanted to send some of that hams in Toronto, so we sold some of those there. A lot of process. I sold olive oil and rice and stuff like that. So it was a big kind of like a company at that time. When I moved to New York, to US, there is a lot of competition, and I didn't want to get more involved to that. It was too much of a stuff. So, but everything worked out really well. Now I stopped it. I stopped that one the last couple of years or so, moving to a different kind of like more of a restaurant, kind of like a base business. But it was amazing. It was great. But I never owned, like I always say to people, I never owned the pigs. I wasn't there in the farm. It was only like the selling part with my brand. What we were doing. We have a company of that.
But it's great that you recognize the opportunity, and just being a basketball player and being able to juggle all of that while you're playing basketball is really cool. Yeah. Okay, so when you sign your first NBA contract, you as a player are pretty much set for life, if you play your cards right, of course. What would be your advice to young players in terms of financial literacy and just taking care of that generational money?
I think sometimes what the problem with some of the guys is like they think too much about the second contract, and no, when I sign the second contract, I'll be set. You have to be living by what you have in that first contract. That's your contract. It doesn't matter how high it is. It doesn't matter the number. That's what you got to think about your future. That's all you have. There is nothing else signed. So for me, it was just about I'm a pretty normal guy. I don't spend a lot in crazy things, but I mean, at the end of the day, for me, was just taking care of my money. Like only the things I needed, I was, investing some of the money or saving some money, and just maybe buying a house or a small car at the beginning or whatever it is. But it's about just, you have to make sure that, like you say, like whatever contract do you have, that's the contract you have. There is nothing more. There is not. You cannot think about what will happen because you cannot spend that money, and after 3 years, an injury can happen. Whatever things can happen. Maybe they don't like how you play anymore, and you don't have any, more money coming in. So you have to be prepared for that, and you cannot just think about something that you don't have. So that was my key. I was just always low, kind of like a low profile, just trying to save as much money as I could, and that was the way.
Yeah, because just young players coming into the league, like you said, they tend to be crazy with that first check, buying houses and cars. So it's really important to sit down and think about your finances. When you made the transition into business after you retired, you actually took a semester at Harvard Business School, crossover into business for athletes. What was that experience like for you?
It was great. Like I say, I was trying to just be prepared for the future. It wasn't about nothing specific I wanted to learn or I was preparing for. Same thing, I did a couple of master courses and with Spain as well. It was about accounting and startups, and it was about terminology. It was about learning about possible businesses that I was going to be involved, and just being able to talk in the right terms. Sometimes we have a lot of people coming in to us, and we have our teams and stuff like that. But I wanted to be part of something, and being able to talk with kind of like knowing what I was talking about. So that was the whole process. Harvard was great. It was something, the NBA has, and we were able to go there and join that team and work for a semester and in cases, and being able to get that final case and have to show your case in front of the of the teacher and professor, and so it was a great experience. It went well. I learned a lot, and like I say, just trying to prepare for the future. Not sure what that future is, or just thinking about something in particular, but I think it's always good to keep kind of like adding to your mind.
And in terms of the future, do you have any upcoming investments lined up or industries that you're interested in investing?
Not really. Nothing like I have like planned. It's been a lot of situation. There is a lot of stuff going on, and you always have opportunities. Almost, I'm not saying every day, but every other week or whatever. And you just, with your team, you're going through stuff like that and see what interesting. There is a lot of things going on now, but just working a lot with my foundation a lot, and just trying to build something for kids with technology, with people who don't have maybe the resources to be able to live in this kind of like on these days with this pandemic, maybe not able to go to school or not able to pay for extra classes or after school classes. So we're trying to kind of like build something around that, and that's been the project the last few months, just working on something with that.
And I assume that's the project that your foundation deals with in particular.
Yeah.
And in terms of your basketball career, you turned. I know you went from your hometown at the age of 13 to play for a team, and then you turned pro at 17. But you really made your name at Baskonia. I think you were 19. And you spent 3 years there. You were the finalist of the ACB Spanish League and the Euro League as well. How important were those years for your development as a player?
I think they were great. And actually, even before those 3 years, like when I would go with 13 years to Baskonia, I played there for 4. At 17, they actually signed me a 3-year deal, but to be loaned, to play in the second division and the first division before I get back to Tau. So I was always Baskonia guy. Even if I wasn't playing there for those 3 years, they want me to get experience, to play more minutes than I was going to be able to play in Baskonia. So those 3 years before I get back to Baskonia they were amazing. I was able to win in the second division and went to the first division. And after my 3rd year was I played Europe as well. So before I get to Tau, to Baskonia, I already play in Europe. I already play a lot of minutes. So I was ready for that, big step. So all those years, I was trying to grow up every year, trying to get better, trying to be a better player year by year. But not even thinking about NBA. We're just thinking about just being better. So I had the opportunity to get to the NBA that year, and we decided to take it, and I went to Toronto.
That's awesome. And I read about you declaring for the draft in 2002 as well, and then withdrawing. What was the reasoning, and were you back then were you reluctant to go to the league?
Not really. Nobody was interested. I wasn't good enough. Okay. I think I wasn't good enough for those guys. So
you needed the 3 years.
That's why I was undrafted, and it was the year after that when I get the offers from the NBA teams, but they have the chance to draft me, and but they didn't. So actually, it worked out really well for me, because the way it was before, that made me kind of like a free agent. I was able to talk to every team in the league and being able to negotiate my contract without being held to a second round, kind of like a player. So it was actually worked out well, really well.
That's great. And then you joined the Raptors in 2005. You were 24 back then. And did you experience any rookie hazing your first year?
Not really, because I have another rookies in the team. My English wasn't great at that time. So the veterans, they tried to do something with me a couple of times. They're like, look, this guy don't understand anything. Leave him alone. We focus on the other 2 rookies. And so I was cool. They make me, just travel with one of these kids' backpacks and stuff like that, but nothing really
with a
crazy.
Pink backpack.
So it was fun. And like I say, I think they want me to, do a couple of like singing and stuff like that, but nothing more. It was great. I have a great veterans that year.
Cool. During your prime years, you were always one of the best players in the NBA, playmakers in the NBA. You were also one of the best assists to turnover ratio guy in recent NBA history. How did you manage to balance those numbers on such a high level?
I never was like a really like a flashy, kind of like a crazy, amazing, passing, kind of like a highlight passing or stuff like that. So I was really able to see if the pass was there, I was able to make it. If not, on my mind, it was automatic. I didn't risk a lot in some situations. I knew what it was, when to risk and when not to. That gave me, in those categories really almost every year. That was the key. That's why coaches and players and teammates were comfortable with me on the court. They knew I was always going to make the right decision. And that was my mindset. It was like, maybe, if the pass wasn't really there, I could wait. I know that pass is going to be later on the possession. So I was just trying to make the right pass at the right time.
Makes sense. You were also one of the best free throw shooters the NBA has ever seen. You actually hold the record for the best percentage in a single season at 98.1%, which is totally crazy. And you have the second lowest streak in NBA history for consecutive free throws. My question is, how much work were you putting in these free throws, or is this something that just came naturally to you?
No, I wasn't good at my shooting either, free throw shooting or 3-point shooting. I was okay when I was in Europe, in Spain. I consider myself as okay player, okay shooter. I mean, but when I got to the NBA, that 3-point line was farther back. So the free throw, the pressure. But at the end of the day, we start thinking about it. Actually, the free throw should be the easiest one. It's always the same. You're not moving. There is no defense. So it's just you. So now is when mentally, exactly, that's when mentally I start getting into everything. And I was able to just disconnect from everything every time I was stepping on that line. And that was the thing, like on that year when I did the 87 in a row and the 98%, I missed 3 that year. The toughest part, I'm not a big number of free throw shooters. So some people say, oh, that's easier. But at the end of the day, I think it's even more complicated because some days I only got like 1 or 2 free throws. And maybe it was 2 games without free throws. And after you got to shoot again. So I don't know if that is, easier or not than just shooting like 6-7 free throws every day when you're going to the line. So that was the difficult part about that. And after people talking, guys were, from other teams were like betting against me, like, hey, I just bet $100 you're gonna get to 100. Why you don't miss now and you're not gonna miss until next year again. So you just have to disconnect from all that stuff, funny stuff for real. It was a great, amazing season just because of that. I remember even my last game of the season, I went to the line and even my coaches were like, why you force? Don't let them foul you. Like you already have the record. So I'm like, I was just playing basketball and, so it was fun. It's something it will be there forever. And, I don't know, it's always going to be really, really fun to see.
That's great. Towards, I guess, the end of your career, as you played in the midst of the NBA becoming a 3-point oriented league. Was it hard for you to make such a transition, or I guess it's easy because you're a shooter and you could just shoot more threes?
What happened is like you start getting older, you have a different ways, and I was playing less minutes or whatever. So it's tougher too when you're not in rhythm. Even if you are a shooter, it's difficult when you just got to go out there for a few minutes and just make shots, So, but I wish I could have this kind of like NBA 10 years ago. That would be amazing. Just shooting threes or threes, not just threes. But I mean, that would be crazy, But I think, the games is always changing and developing to new generations. And right now we are in the small ball basketball, if we could say that. And maybe in a few years, if we have 7 guys like Joel Embiid kind of guys or whatever, maybe we're back to in the post kind of basketball. I think it's just about players and the way we play now. So, I just transitioned the best way I could. I think it was great. And it is really nice basketball now that we see in the last, these playoffs are being.
So you basically, you think you would have, or you actually, I mean, you would probably have much better numbers when you come to think about it if your prime was played during these 3-point oriented times, you probably get more shots.
Maybe, but you know what? One of the things that everybody said all the time, I wasn't really a selfish guy. I actually was one of the best shooters always on my teams, and my teammates were always like, "Why you don't shoot more?" I don't know. I was always happier passing the ball. So that's why I don't know if I was gonna be scoring more if I was on my prime and on this kind of basketball or not, because for me always was a team sport, and I always put my teammates first. So even if I have a shot, if somebody's by my side and have maybe a better shot, I always gonna pass that ball. And even with my coaches yelling at me like,
so if you have a good shot or a good pass, you always choose a good pass.
Yes, always.
I think Tony Kukoc said something very similar to that.
And I know sometimes, because usually I was better shooter, my coaches, like I said, they were yelling on the sideline saying, "But shoot the ball." I'm like, "Yeah, but my teammate is open." "Yes, but he's shooting 30%. You're shooting 40%. But that's been always how I saw basketball. That's why my point guard kind of like, I was seen as a point guard, and that was me.
Awesome. After Toronto, you played for the Pistons, Mavs, Knicks, Lakers, Hawks, and Cavs. You often said that Toronto is your second home. I guess, what would be your third home? Which of these cities or teams did you like most?
I think everybody, like I say, I think in this bad one, I think the change from Dallas to New York, that there was kind of like out of surprise. I think every change was by my decision. We will say that. So that was the only one, like, I was traded without like kind of like a knowing, like, because I was just signed a 4-year deal in Dallas. But after that, when I was traded from New York, I was able to choose the Lakers because we wanted to be in a young team or whatever. Or when I was in the Lakers, they knew with a buyout, I was gonna, they let me get or choose where I wanted to go and just buy me out and stuff like that. So all the changes were my decision. I have great relationship in all of those teams. It's tough to choose three. I always say Cleveland because it was my chance to get to the NBA Finals. So it was special to play on that team. But now I'm living in New York, and it really doesn't. It's nothing to do with playing 2 years with the Knicks. I have a great friends in New York. This is the place where I live the most after Toronto. But I think I left, a really great relationships in all of those cities. Even if Atlanta, I was there for like 3 months just to play for the playoffs, and I have a great friends there. So, I always took it as new opportunities for me and my family. So I don't know. It will be tough to just choose one of all because I have fun in all of them.
Understand. And having played with both Carmelo and LeBron, who were both phenoms coming into the league, how would you compare the two? Their approach to the game, working on their craft, and just being a leader in the locker room.
I think these guys, there is no secret to be great. I think, I play with Dirk Nowitzki, I play with Chris Bosh, I play with Dwyane Wade, and all those guys, LeBron, Carmelo. If you don't work on your game, it doesn't matter with you just being good. You need to put the time in, and there is no secret about that. Nobody just show up and play. So these guys, they work hard, and I think like the difference will be like, maybe Carmelo with the teams they have, or how works, the people around him or whatever, like teammates, and LeBron. I think that will be the biggest difference on that. I think LeBron, we all know he's one of the best players ever. He's so, I don't know, like I always say when they ask me, is he the best scorer? Maybe not. Is he the best passing? Maybe not. Or rebounder or defender. But all around, I think he's the best. The
most versatile ever.
I think he put all together. I think, you can fight with somebody if Kevin Durant is a better scorer. Yeah, maybe. But, I think LeBron can rebound, can assist, can play. There is so many things around LeBron that does make him special.
And when talking about LeBron, a lot of guys call him the ultimate teammate. Would you agree with that statement?
We had a great relationship with him. I spent a lot of time with him that year in Cleveland off the court, and he was great. I got the chance to play against him with NBA, with national team, and after having as a teammate, and the ultimate respect. He's great. a great teammate. He works so as hard as anybody on the team. He's there every day, and he's a great guy. Amazing.
And when you're such a superstar caliber player like Carmelo, LeBron, Dwyane Wade, just out of curiosity, specifically for LeBron, was he really the guy pulling the strings behind GM decisions with the organization, for example, in Cleveland?
I think that's something we already have in mind with every sport. Like you talk about soccer, you have Messi, and now people thinking the same thing, or Ronaldo, or at the end of the day, when you have one of those guys, it's not about them making decision, but
they have to sign off. Yeah.
not even that, but I guess you're gonna have. If I was the GM or I will be the coach or whatever, I'm guessing you're always gonna have to go to him and ask him, hey, what do you think about this? That doesn't mean he's making the decision. And I don't know. I'm talking about just putting myself as a coach or a GM who have a LeBron James, it doesn't matter who we talk about it, a Kawhi Leonard, Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo. You want them to be comfortable, and at the same time, it's not about them making the decision or no, sign this because he's my friend. No, but you don't want to sign somebody who not fit the way you want to play with this guy. So I think as a fan, sometimes when I put myself now as a fan, we don't realize, it's not. You have to ask. It's your guy. You want people around
to be comfortable.
Yeah, and if you want to play one way, you're gonna have to add guys who adjust to that kind of playing. So I don't think he's pulling or whatever like people think. He's just one more player who worked really hard. But and you're gonna be able to make a team around him that actually works.
Makes sense. And you already mentioned Chris Bosh and Dirk Nowitzki. Having played with both of them, who would you start the franchise with and why?
Oh, that's impossible to answer. This is our question, so difficult for a player, and even like when they ask me about comparing players from different generations, I think that's the toughest. There is
But the first thing that comes to mind, like when I say that, you must have a feeling like, okay, Dirk is a bit better.
It's LeBron. You'll start a franchise with LeBron if you can have, because look what he did, and you can choose a game, and he will be a number one draft pick again. I guess you got to pick him. But, man, any of those names you can start a franchise with, because they all won championships. All the names that we talk about. So, I mean, it's amazing.
Onto your national team. So for 15 years, you were one of the key players for the golden generation of Spain. And I'm sure there are countless of stories and moments that you cherish from that time. Out of all of the accomplishments throughout the years, do you have a favorite medal with the national team? Or maybe top three if it's too hard to choose one?
Oh, no, I was going to say two. I was going to say 2006, the World Championship, because that one we really started to really make the people know that we can play basketball and we are actually a good team. But for me, it was important 2011. It was a gold medal in Eurobasket in Lithuania because I couldn't play in 2009. So that was one of the medals that I was missing, the gold in Europe. I couldn't play because of an injury in 2009. So, and we won as a Spain, but I was missing that one. So for me, it was so important to get back and win that medal. So that's why it was important for me. But I'm guessing for the Spanish basketball and for that generation, the 2006 medal was the most important one.
In your opinion, the next leader of Team Spain for the next decade?
Some guys are still there and they're still young. I know, Ricky's been there and he was the MVP last year and he's still down and got a few more years. But after we have both Hernan Gomez in the team, we have a young kid like Carlos Alocen, like he just signed with Real Madrid, maybe in the NBA someday. Alberto Abalde, another young guy. So we had a few players again who are going to be playing there for a while, and who we'll see who get that first step to be the guy. But I think we saw the wall that for us to be successful is about our team. The culture that we left there for with this generation, and it's going to be about that forever.
And Spain has just such a strong basketball tradition. I'm sure you will always have a very, very, very strong team. Me being from Croatia, there were a lot of games, a lot of really good games between Croatia and Spain, but unfortunately, a majority of those games, Spain won.
Well, it was, we have Croatia, we got friends. It's been tough, and like I said, I think the toughest part is to be on top for that many years. We didn't win everything, but we have a great group of guys from the same year. It was the same generation that would make our team a little bit different. Mm-hmm. Having 6 or 7 guys from the 80s and myself, it was from 81. I think that's the difficult part, because usually, you go by generation. You're going to get one guy from the 84, one from 85, and you put in pieces together. And after you have 2-3 years where you're great. Mm-hmm. With us, it's like we worked together for so long. So I understand. And I think that was our advantage. That was the key of being successful all these years.
Mm-hmm. Spain played on a couple of occasions against America, against the US. How hard is it to play? Could you just talk about, those types of games when you have NBA type athletes who are way more athletic than I guess European athletes? How hard is it to play against the US?
It is hard. The last few times we play, we lost we actually lost in 4 Olympics against US. So 2 silver medals, 1, bronze medal, 2 lost in the semifinal. For them, what happened is, like you say, they're physically, maybe better. But I mean, at the end of the day, you having 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 guys of the best in the world. And it's tough for all of them to have bad games the same day. Mm-hmm. So you can stop a couple of them, maybe not having a great, but there is always someone coming up and hit a shot, And mm-hmm. It was the LeBrons and Kobe's and after it was the Chris Paul, and after it was the Carmelo, and whoever was in that team. So that was mm-hmm. the toughest part. Mm-hmm. We played them really well for 3 times, and it was close, mm-hmm. but we couldn't. And I think that's one of the medals that we miss as for our generation.
And I think it was 2008 when you were very, very close to beating the States, but then Kobe had that great comeback. That's still one of the most amazing videos of basketball videos. Did Kobe ever talk trash talk in Spanish during those games?
Yeah, he talked, but not about trash talking. But he always was so competitive that we think what we all learned from him. He was an amazing person, amazing guy. But he was when he crossed that line, it was no teammates. It was no Pau Gasol. It was no Team Spain. He was not talking Spanish. It was no friends, and that's something that was amazing that we all learned from him. That's all we're gonna miss, and he was always a great player to play against, because you knew he was gonna give everything every night.
Yeah, that kind of competitiveness, just that kind of level is astonishing. Rest in peace, Kobe. And then, of course, there were many accomplishments throughout the years, but like you said, there were those 4 games. What was perhaps the toughest moment playing for Spain? The toughest loss?
Maybe the home. Maybe the one we got in 07. We lost against Russia at home with Holden make it sad to put us down 1. And after Pau Gasol got a shot at the last second, and kind of like a bounce in the ring for I don't know how mm-hmm. many times. It was at home. It was in Spain. Yeah. And it was coming after our World Championship in Japan, and everybody was already thinking that we were going to win
all the way. Yeah.
But it was maybe our worst game. We couldn't play as well as we used. We always scored like 59 points. It was like 59-60 or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I guess that was the toughest one for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then fast forward to today, we talked about Orlando bubble a little bit. Who's your favorite to win it all?
As today, I gotta say, because what I've been seeing with the Clippers and Denver, and we don't know what's gonna happen there. So I think the Lakers, they are the ones looking the best mm-hmm. on the West, and in the East, I think it's pretty open. I think a lot of people didn't expect Miami and Celtics to be here. They're both mm-hmm. here playing an amazing basketball. I really don't know who is going to come out of that series. Mm-hmm. So it is tough. I think that's one thing the bubble is doing. It's tough to predict who's going to win.
Exactly.
So because of what happened, let's try to get out of the bubble for a minute and say, okay, the Lakers were the best record. Let's go with the Lakers. But I mean, I don't know.
Denver
I
has been absolutely
money on that because look how Denver what is doing coming back again from 3-1. Now they're forcing a game 7. It is tough, and Denver is a tough team to beat as well. So it's pretty open. I love it, and I cannot give you a team because I don't know if I had to bet something. It will be tough for me to really put because all of them have their chance. I think it's open.
And you being, I guess, Toronto alumni, do you think if Toronto had Kawhi that they would have gone all the way this year?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, those are what ifs, and it's really hard. But
I'm a guy who I never think about what if somebody injured, if this happened. I think things are the way they are. I think they play an amazing basketball, different basketball than they played last year with Kawhi. But I love it too. I think it was more oriented. I think it was more movement. I think it was fun to watch.
It was really beautiful basketball, just without such a superstar player, being able to reach those levels.
Yeah, so that's why I don't know if they will be better or not. Maybe worse. You know if they were, I mean, it's the way it is. Look at the Clippers. I think everybody was expecting them to be better, or maybe not better, but maybe winning easier, to get to that final or something. And they suffering as well. They suffer with Dallas. They suffering now with Denver. Maybe they're winning all, but they're going through a process as well. So just having the best player doesn't kind of like give you the title in this NBA because there are so many good players and so many good teams out there.
I guess a really good example of that is Giannis, and it will be really interesting to see where he decides to go or stay next year. Okay, I have a few quick fire questions for you. So just really quick answers, and we can talk about them in more depth if necessary after the segment, but just really short. The greatest Spanish basketball player ever?
I got Pau Gasol.
Okay. The best international player of all time?
Ooh, there's so many. Dirk Nowitzki got to be up there, maybe because it's too many. Tony Parker. I don't know. Let's go with
Dirk is good. Dirk is good.
Well, let's go with Dirk. But after Tony Parker got so many championships as well, so it's tough. It is not easy.
Best teammate you ever played with after Rocco Jukic?
Best teammate.
Yeah, best teammate you ever played with.
I think I got so many. Can I say one?
It can be from the national team as well.
Yeah, but I always try to keep this answer out of the national team because we're so close.
You're like brothers, yeah.
When I look like, I'm trying to, so I always try to think somebody else. But look, I'm going to say I have a great Derek Martin in Toronto, Jeff Green when I was in Cleveland, or Kyle Korver, or it's so many. I have so many. I play in too many teams.
Yeah.
Any of those. Chris Bosh is an amazing teammate as well. DeMar DeRozan. All of those are have good relationship with.
Toughest matchup or your nemesis, somebody you hated to play against?
Allen Iverson, my first couple of years, man, too fast for me, but he was able to make a shot as well, so it was tough. Prime D Rose was tough.
Yeah.
So,
a
lot. And my last few years, all of them, all the pointers.
The greatest of all time?
I guess Michael Jordan, but
that's fair.
Yeah. Because we're gonna get into arguing here.
Into a discussion. No, MJ is good. I agree with that. The best shooter ever?
Maybe the Splash brothers gotta be out there. Those both are amazing shooters. I love Kyle Korver, but. Let's go with this generation. So those guys are.
Okay, so the Splash Brothers.
Yeah, both of them. One without the ball, the other one the dribble.
Clay scored like 37 points in a quarter or something like that. Yeah. That's crazy.
So,
All-time starting five.
I'm gonna go with people like, for example, I'm gonna go with Steve Nash at point guard because he's one of the guys like I kind of like a. It was kind of like a mirror where I wanted to, the way I wanted to play in NBA, as you know, assist and after I'll go with, you gotta go maybe with Michael Jordan and LeBron James and now it get complicated.
Power forward.
Maybe Tim Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki, Pau Gasol in there, Zach. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'll go with somebody like that. It's tough. It's true.
We have 8 players already.
I know, that's why. And I will say more. It is difficult. And with so many generations, it's tough. I understand. I'll go with
it's really hard to compare generations, and that's something that Jordan always said. You know, I never played with Will Chamberlain or something, so how can you compare me with him? So I understand.
And after compare, like, you know, who you put, like, you know, you got the Tim Duncans or the, you know, and after, but you can go back and you got the, you know, Kevin Garnett was amazing too on his position, and after you go with centers and you got the Olajuwons and but it's Shaq. But now, you know, I don't know. It is difficult. You got the Magics and the Larry Birds, and so how do you choose between all of those great players?
Yeah, very, very hard.
It's difficult. It is really difficult.
Olympic gold or NBA ring?
I wish both. I don't have. I was close in both of them.
You have to choose.
A couple of silvers and a couple of you know, and a second in the finals. I will say Olympic gold because what it means for my country as well, not just for myself. I think it's more of a kind of like maybe a proud kind of like being a Spanish kind of guy. I'll go with that. It doesn't matter.
And I guess you already answered this question. Who's the better Gasol?
It is a tough question too. I always say Pau because, you know, he's my generation. He's the one who jumped to the NBA first. Before was easy because he got the 2 rings. Now Mark got one as well.
Yeah.
So it's getting complicated. But, you know, for us, I think even for Mac, I think Pau has been the guy who we all follow, kind of. So that's why I always say Pau.
And I guess that's a really good transition.
You can need any of them to make a team. So
I guess that's a good transition. Last but not least, Pau Gasol's baby girl, Elizabeth Gianna, was born 2 days ago. My daughter, Sara, was born 6 weeks ago. And you're a father of 3 boys, Manuel, Gonzalo, and Jamie.
Jaime, yeah.
Yeah. Any advice for new dads from an experienced one? And what has fatherhood taught you?
Well, first, you know, enjoy every moment. Be patient. You know, I think as a baby, even when they're little, it's maybe the part where sometimes you ask yourself how I can help. They're still a baby. So there is a lot of things that you don't realize, like what to do or how to do things. But after day, there is some new excitement. After year, there is amazing. Now my kids got 6, 8, and 10. You know, can't wait. There is always something new, going to sports and a lot of stuff. So, but it's just enjoying every minute. For me, it was great. It was my way of kind of like disconnecting from everything. It doesn't matter if it was a good game, a bad game. As soon as it was finished, you know, I got home or they were waiting for me outside and
everything off and you're, yeah.
I know what happened before that. It was just about my family and my kids. And so I love it. So that would be my advice, man. Enjoy every minute. The good moments, they're not as good moments. The big tired some days because you cannot sleep as well as you used to. But it's all go through a process. It's changing. It's amazing. It's amazing. Everything changed and priorities change.
Exactly.
You know what's the important part now.
Yeah, exactly. Great advice, Jose. Thank you so much for your time. We are pretty much done with it. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, whatever they may be, business, private, and till next time.
Luck to you. You know, keep doing what you're doing. Love talking basketball every time. So amazing. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Awesome. Cheers.